That's your Gap hoodie, is that right? He hit me. See who he's shooting at? Yeah, all right, now run it back again. That clip right there is wild because one of the dudes talking is one of the same guys tied to Young Dolph's murder, and he's basically admitting everything on camera. And he ain't even done talking.
That's your Gap hoodie, is that right? That's you who you're shooting at?
No.
Alright, now back it up again.
He starts naming names, hinting at Yo Gotti's role, and even dropping hints that more people are on a list. The streets are heated over this because once someone starts talking like that, it puts a target on their back forever. Let's break into the case that flipped Memphis upside down. Memphis is a city where being real ain't optional, it's survival. But even in a place known for raw energy and real street pressure, nothing hit as hard as what went down in November 2021. That day wasn't just news, it was a straight shockwave.
Deadly.
The whole world never say that when they egging on the beat. When everybody put on the song, everybody egging out, nobody don't be saying that. We feel like
We're talking about the murder of one of the most respected, self-made, no-nonsense rappers to ever come out of the South, Young Dolph. This wasn't your typical street beef spiraling out of control. Nah, this was something deeper, something calculated, something meant to shake the entire culture. On November 17th, 2021,
Well, since our last interview, Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, got sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Young Dolph. And in fact, I think they gave him another 50 years.
36-year-old Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., known worldwide as Young Dolph, pulled up to Makeda's homemade butter cookies, one of his go-to spots. Broad daylight, regular day, just trying to grab his favorite cookies. No bodyguards, no entourage, just Dolph being Dolph. Then tragedy hit the block. Out of nowhere, a white Mercedes-Benz pulled up like it had a mission. Two masked men jumped out holding heavy firepower and let off shots.
And it's over.
How did you feel when Straight Drop got sentenced to the murder?
I don't feel no type of way. I don't put myself in that like that. I kill myself.
22 shots straight into him. 22 shots? That wasn't just to kill him. That was to send a message. That was the kind of thing you do when you're trying to make sure someone never gets back up. And to make it even wilder, surveillance cameras caught every second of it. The shooters hopped out, fired without hesitation, then peeled off like nothing even happened.
Straight Drop only got $800 for that hit. Can you imagine killing somebody and your reward is a PlayStation and maybe a game or two?
I don't know if that's true or not.
A whole city left standing there stunned, angry, heartbroken. Dolph wasn't just another rapper aiming for fame. He was a respected boss in Memphis, a man who built Paper Route Empire brick by brick without begging for support or bowing to bigger names.
It's a messed up situation. It's a messed up situation. And the fact that both, people getting killed on both sides, there was other shootings and murders that were happening, man.
He put his people on. He fed families. He motivated a whole generation. That's why the news hit the streets like a punch to the chest. Memphis police snapped into action fast because something this bold couldn't be ignored. And within months, authorities started connecting the dots, rounding up 4 suspects they believed were tied to the hit. Justin Straight Drop Johnson, allegedly one of the shooters, Cornelius Smith, the other suspected shooter.
But when it's egging on, it's all fun and games. When everybody promoting the beef against other rappers, they love it. That's the song you'll go listen to before you listen to his whole album.
Hernandez Govin, believed to be the mastermind who put the whole plan together, and Jamarcus Johnson, Straight Drop's half-brother, accused of helping them escape and secure money tied to the hit. These arrests showed progress, but anyone with street knowledge understood immediately. 4 dudes don't run a hit this big alone. Something this heavy usually comes from higher up, from deeper connections, from older beefs that never died down.
Shit, them people slanging iron, like people hurt for that shit. So, I hate that rap beef. I hate it, bro. I ain't never seen nothing good come from it. Never.
And now with these new leaked recordings floating around, the internet is going crazy again because it sounds like the truth is finally bubbling to the surface. Somebody is clearly talking way too much, dropping hints the whole plan was bigger than anyone first thought. Somebody clearly wanted Young Dolph gone, and the real question hanging in the air was, who gave these dudes the confidence to pull off something this serious? To understand why Dolph ended up getting hit like that, you gotta rewind and look at one of the ugliest Memphis rap beefs ever. A feud so heavy, it had the whole city on edge. the long-running war between Young Dolph and another Memphis powerhouse, Yo Gotti. This wasn't no harmless back and forth online. This was deep-rooted tension that stretched for years, pulling in crews, labels, street loyalty.
You know how many people miss Dolph and miss Big Juke? It fed a lot of people, but we just, we as on the outside looking in, we just think about that a couple days and whatever else on social media after that, but they families, they children, they brothers and they cousins, and people hurt for that.
And multiple violent situations that left real scars on Memphis. This was the kind of beef that had real-life consequences where people on both sides were ready to take action if anything got out of line. Every time their names got mentioned together, you could feel the room tighten up instantly.
But some records sold that the black man ain't gonna get the money for.
Everything traces back to around 2014 when Young Dolph was leveling up, gaining respect through his independent grind. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti, real name Mario Mims, was already stamped in Memphis with his label, CMG. Word on the streets was that Gotti tried to sign Dolph. On the surface, it looked like a smart play, an established veteran trying to bring in a rising star. But Dolph wasn't rocking with it. He had his own vision, his own empire, Paper Route Empire, and he was focused on building something that belonged to him. He didn't want to be under anybody else's control, taking orders, or shifting his moves for someone else's benefit. Dolph always operated like a boss, and being independent was part of his identity. But that decision didn't sit well with everyone. Dolph claimed that after he turned down the deal, Gotti's whole attitude flipped. According to Dolph, dude went from being my #1 fan and wanting to sign me to being my biggest hater. That tweet said it all. Dolph felt like the love wasn't real, and that the second he didn't play along, the energy shifted. And when someone's loyalty suddenly changes in the streets, especially over business pride and ego, it can turn into something way darker real fast.
From that point on, the tension between them didn't just stay in the music. It spilled into the city. Their crews started feeling the pressure. Situations around them got heated, and every move either artist made was watched closely because the streets knew it could go left at any moment. This wasn't petty competition. This was personal. And once feelings get bruised, opportunities get rejected, and respect starts slipping, things can reach a point where talking it out is no longer an option. The beef didn't stay quiet at all. Things heated up fast. Both rappers started sneaking shots into their music, and before anybody knew it, the whole situation got personal. In 2016, Young Dolph dropped his album King of Memphis, which was basically him stepping straight into Yo Gotti's territory and saying, "I'm the one running this." That was bold, and the city knew it. But the real explosion came in 2017 when Dolph dropped Play With Yo Bitch, a track that went straight for Yo Gotti's pride and reputation. Dolph wasn't sugarcoating anything. He was claiming he had relations with the mother of Gotti's child, putting a Gotti lookalike in the music video getting clowned, and the cover art even showed missed calls from Yo Gotti baby Moma. That level of disrespect in street culture isn't something people just shrug off. This was the kind of violation that pushes someone from throwing bars to wanting real retaliation. And when you're dealing with people connected to the streets, surrounded by dudes who take loyalty seriously and don't hesitate around violence, a diss like that can spark something deadly. And that's exactly what happened. Memphis isn't the type of city where public disrespect gets ignored. Reputation is everything, and when you embarrass someone publicly, especially someone with influence and people around him who move aggressively, things can spill out the booth and into the streets. And once that happens, it's only a matter of time before someone decides to handle it the street way. The first major incident went down February 2017 during CIAA tournament weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina. On February 25th, Young Dolph's bulletproof SUV got hit with over 100 shots. Yes, 100 shots fired at his truck in what was clearly a coordinated attempt to take him out for real. Whoever did it wasn't trying to scare him, they were trying to erase him. But Dolph survived, only because he was smart enough to get that ride bulletproof it. It was like the universe gave him a second chance, but the streets weren't calming down. Just 7 months later, in September 2017, Dolph was shot multiple times outside the Loews Hollywood Hotel in Los Angeles. This wasn't some minor situation. Dolph was in critical condition, fighting to stay alive. Early reports mentioned Yo Gotti as a person of interest since he was staying at the same hotel, but LAPD quickly said he wasn't a suspect. One of Gotti's associates, Corey McClendon, got arrested for attempted murder, but once again, he beat the case. It was like every time violence hit Dolph, nobody ever seemed to get convicted. But the tension stayed boiling. Then came the third time, and this time it wasn't an attempt. Memphis took a loss nobody expected. Fast forward to the courtroom, where the trial, the accusations, and the bombshell testimony started shaking the city. When Justin Straight Drop's trial finally began in September 2024, almost 3 years after Dolph was killed, everyone in Memphis, from the hood to the industry, was watching. This wasn't just another case. This had the potential to expose people with power and status. Johnson was facing first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and felon in possession of a firearm, charges that could lock someone away for the rest of their life with no chance of seeing freedom again. The prosecution, led by Shelby County Assistant District Attorney Paul Hagerman, came loaded with receipts. They showed the surveillance footage of 2 masked shooters hopping out of that white Mercedes and letting off shots while Dolph was inside Makeda's Cookies. They had phone records placing Johnson and his co-defendants right near the scene when the hit went down. They had the ballistics lined up, matching the weapons straight to the suspects. But the part that really crushed Johnson's chances, the part that locked the whole situation tight, was the testimony from his own co-defendant Cornelius Smith, who flipped on the stand to save himself and maybe shave some years off his future. When Smith opened his mouth, everything changed. His testimony wasn't light. It was explosive. He didn't just admit his role in the shooting, he started naming names and hinting that this hit reached way higher than just 2 dudes from the streets. According to Smith's sworn testimony, Young Dolph's murder wasn't some random beef or some spur-of-the-moment street conflict. Nah, Smith claimed the hit was ordered by Anthony aka Big Juke Mims, which just so happens to be Yo Gotti's older brother and one of the strongest figures connected to CMG. That allegation shook the courtroom and the whole city, because that meant that this wasn't just emotional street drama. This could have been a strategic, organized move. That piece right there showed how serious this case got. Smith testified that Big Juke allegedly put up a $100,000 bounty on Dolph, a full 100 bands to take out one of the biggest names in Memphis rap. Smith claimed the money was supposed to be split, $40K for him, $40K for Johnson, $20K for Hernandez Govin, the man accused of piecing the whole plan together.
Smith even claimed that he and Straight Drop had multiple meetings with Big Juke in the weeks leading up to the hit. According to him, these weren't casual conversations. These were planning sessions, plotting how everything would go down. And after Dolph was killed, Smith said they hopped on FaceTime with Big Juke to confirm the job was done. That detail alone had the courtroom buzzing, because if it's true, it puts a whole new spotlight on who might have been tied to this from the start. But Smith wasn't done. He dropped another bomb. He claimed that someone connected to CMG paid $50,000 toward his legal fees after he got locked up in January 2022. He said he didn't know exactly who sent the money, but he insisted it came from someone tied to CMG. That created a whole different wave of questions, because why would anyone pay that kind of money unless they were trying to protect someone or keep someone loyal? If what Smith said is true, it hints at something way bigger than just a single order from one person. It suggests organizational involvement, people working behind the scenes, and possibly even attempts to interfere with the case. That could mean more charges, deeper investigations, and a much bigger spotlight on people who thought they were in the clear. The allegations Smith dropped didn't just point fingers. They opened the door for a whole new level of suspicion, and Memphis hasn't stopped talking about it since. Justin Johnson's lawyer, Luke Evans, came in ready for war. He went straight after Cornelius Smith's credibility, trying to break down everything Smith said on the stand. Evans argued that Smith was only talking because he wanted a lighter sentence, and that he'd say whatever the prosecution wanted to hear if it meant saving himself. Evans brought up a letter Smith supposedly wrote to his family from jail, where he hinted he'd say anything to avoid spending his life behind bars. If that letter is real, it makes Smith look like someone who'd switch up his story just to cut a deal, and it raises real questions about whether the jury should have trusted a single word he said. Evans also pointed out the inconsistencies in his story, especially the money part. Smith claimed he was promised $40,000 for helping with the hit, but admitted he only actually got $800 total, $500 at first, then $300 later. That's wild, because it makes his whole testimony sound shaky, like he didn't know what was real and what wasn't. But even with all those issues, the jury still locked on to the prosecution's version of events, and on September 26, 2024, Justin Johnson was found guilty on all counts. First-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, felon in possession of a weapon. The jury looked at everything: the surveillance video, the phone data, and yeah, Smith's testimony, even with the doubts attached to it. Johnson got sentenced to life in prison, which in Memphis means he must serve at least 51 years before he even gets considered for release. Johnson is around 30 years old, so that means if he somehow stays alive for the whole sentence, he'd be in his 80s before he even gets a chance to breathe free air again. That basically seals his fate. But here's where things get even more serious. Johnson's conviction did give Young Dolph's family and fans a bit of justice, but it also opened doors to way bigger questions about who else could have been involved. If Smith's testimony about Big Juke is true, and the jury clearly thought it had enough weight to convict Johnson, then it makes everyone wonder, who else knew? Who else played a role? And the biggest question, did Yo Gotti know anything about what was allegedly happening behind the scenes? So far, there's no public evidence tying Yo Gotti directly to the hit. Everything points to Big Juke, not Gotti himself. But here's the part that keeps the streets buzzing. Big Juke wasn't some distant relative. He was Gotti's blood brother and heavily involved in CMG business moves. He wasn't a small figure. He was someone who had power and connections. And then things got even stranger. Big Juke was shot and killed in Memphis in January 2024, just months before these courtroom allegations about his involvement in Dolph's murder came out. He was shot outside a restaurant during a repast after a funeral. Up to this day, nobody has been arrested for it. People in Memphis started whispering, instantly. Some say it was retaliation for Young Dolph's death, maybe carried out by people connected to Paper Route Empire, but there's no proof of that. Just street talk, speculation, and theories moving around the city. There's no solid proof behind the street rumors, but the timing of Big Juke's death is wild because it means he never got the chance to respond to anything Cornelius Smith said in court. He never got to deny putting up a $100,000 bounty on Dolph, never got to confirm or deny his own meetings with the shooters, and never got to speak on who else might have been involved or completely innocent. His death basically erased what could have been one of the most important voices in understanding the full truth behind Dolph's murder. It shut down a key witness forever. Another huge piece of this puzzle is Hernandez Govan, the man prosecutors painted as the mastermind behind the whole hit. Govan pled not guilty, and in August 2025, he was found not guilty at trial. There were rumors he had strong ties to both Yo Gotti and Big Juke, with old posts and pictures showing he was tapped in with the CMG circle. But just like with Gotti, there's no public evidence directly connecting Govan to Yo Gotti in the murder plot. All the allegations revolve around his connection to Big Juke, not Gotti himself. Word is, Govan even turned down a plea deal, choosing to stand on his innocence and take it to trial. That alone added even more mystery, because if he truly was involved, most dudes in that position would have cut a deal instantly to save themselves. But he didn't. Then there's the fourth defendant, Jamarcus Johnson, Justin Johnson's half-brother, who took a plea deal in June 2023. He admitted to being an accessory, helping the shooters escape, and helping move the money afterwards. In his testimony, he pointed to text messages where Smith was asking about Big Juke,
which lined up with some of Smith's claims about Duke's role. But just like Smith, Jamarcus is cooperating to get a lighter sentence. So you gotta look at his testimony carefully, knowing he has a reason to say exactly what prosecutors want to hear. Police didn't stop there either. Investigators even examined possible ties between Dolph's murder and others in Yo Gotti's circle, especially Black Youngsta, who was tied into that 2017 Charlotte shooting where Dolph's SUV got hit with 100 rounds. In early 2022, right after Straight Drop and Smith were arrested, word came out that they hired Arthur Horn, a lawyer who had previously represented both Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta. That connection instantly sparked rumors that CMG might still be involved behind the scenes, but Horn later dropped the case and publicly denied he was hired on behalf of CMG. Still, that connection, even for a moment, added another strange layer to a situation that already had too many moving parts. And now we're left with the biggest question hovering over everything. If Big Juke really did order the hit on Young Dolph, was he acting alone? Or was Yo Gotti aware of anything at all? That's the part nobody can answer. Not the police, not prosecutors, not the courts, not even the people involved. Because the one person who could have provided clarity, Big Juke, is gone. His death means he never sat down with detectives, never testified, never gave statements, never admitted anything, and never cleared anyone. With no recorded statements and no direct evidence tying Yo Gotti to the murder plot, we may never know the full truth about who actually ordered Young Dolph's assassination. And the questions keep piling up. One of the biggest mysteries still floating around is Smith's claim that someone connected to CMG dropped $50,000 on his legal fees. If that's true, and Smith said it under oath, then that hints at something way bigger than one person acting alone. It would suggest organized involvement, people working behind the scenes, and possibly attempts to shield certain individuals. But without concrete proof, public paperwork, or more witnesses, the truth sits in the shadows, and Memphis is still stuck with rumors, theories, and unanswered questions. That idea goes way deeper than Big Juke moving on his own. If someone connected to CMG really dropped big money to help cover the legal fees of a man accused of killing Young Dolph, that wouldn't just be loyalty. That would suggest either direct involvement in the setup or at the very least an organized effort to keep the shooters quiet and stop anyone from cooperating with the authorities. But the details around that alleged payment are frustratingly blurry. Nobody knows who supposedly sent it, how it was sent, or even why it was sent. And you gotta remember, Memphis has a tight street culture. People look out for each other in ways outsiders don't always understand. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's loyalty, sometimes it's both. Then there's another part of this story that's even wilder. The huge difference between the $100,000 bounty Smith says Big Juke put on Dolph's head and the tiny $800 Smith claims he actually received. That's not a small difference. That's a massive gap. That's less than 1% of what was supposedly promised. Smith straight up said he only got $800, which is basically the price of a PlayStation and maybe a game on top. Imagine taking part in something serious and walking away with barely enough to buy sneakers and a hoodie. If you're a street dude being promised 40 racks to put in work and you actually go through with it, but only receive $800, you'd be furious. You'd feel played, and you definitely wouldn't feel motivated to protect the people who shorted you. You'd be ready to expose everything, or at least refuse to stay loyal. Yet, somehow, Smith still cooperated with the authorities and testified against Justin Johnson, while also saying he got cheated on the money. That alone raises an important question. Why would the people who allegedly ordered the hit, people who supposedly had access to $100,000 and enough cash to drop $50,000 on legal fees, short their shooters this badly? There are a few possible explanations. 1. The $100,000 bounty might have been exaggerated. Maybe the number never was real, and someone inflated it after the fact.
Street rumors travel fast and grow even faster.
2. The money might have been real, but the full payment never came. Big Juke got killed 2 years after Dolph's murder, and if he truly was the one controlling the payout, his death might have stopped everything. 3. They might have avoided paying the full amount to prevent leaving a money trail. Dropping $100,000 in cash is one thing, but actually moving that money around leaves clues. And nobody running a big operation wants the feds tracing anything back to them. No matter which explanation you look at, the fact Smith only got $800 for such a high-profile hit seriously weakens the idea that this was some massive, perfectly executed, industry-funded operation. If CMG, or anyone with serious power, really put up 6 figures for the hit and another big bag for legal fees, why would the shooters walk away with pocket change? Something about that story doesn't line up clean, and that's why people in Memphis still can't agree on what actually happened behind the scenes. You'd expect a hit that supposedly involved 6-figure money and big-name ties to be handled way more professionally. You'd expect the shooters to actually get what they were promised. But the way this whole thing went down, sloppy planning, tiny payouts, poor communication, makes the whole situation look way more amateur than organized, which raises a real question. Was Big Juke and CMG's involvement really as deep as Smith made it sound, or was he exaggerating to save himself? It's a straight messy situation, a messed up, tangled, confusing situation where bodies were dropping on both sides and other shootings were happening around the city. Then came the January 2024 murder of Big Juke, which added another dark twist to everything. Big Juke was shot outside a Memphis restaurant during a repast, a gathering after a funeral, with his own mom reportedly present when he got taken out. Another person was hit too, and even with police offering a $4,000 reward, nobody's been arrested. A lot of people in Memphis believe this was street justice, maybe connected to Dolph's camp or people who loved him. Nothing is confirmed, but the timing alone had the whole city talking. Big Juke's death changed the entire investigation because if he really did order the hit on Dolph, then he had key knowledge about everything. He would have known who else was aware of the plan. Did he talk to Yo Gotti about it? Did he act alone? Did he have other people in CMG backing him, or was he running off of his own emotions and loyalty trying to protect his brother's reputation? We'll never hear those answers from him because he's gone. Whatever truth he held died with him. And that silence might have been the biggest loss in figuring out the entire conspiracy. His death basically erased the one person who could have tied all the pieces together, the one person who could have said who should be held responsible for Dolph's death. And that leads to the bigger picture, one that goes far beyond Memphis. Hip-hop has always had beef. Competition is part of the culture. Rap battles, lyrical shots, claiming the crown, rivalries have given us some of the most legendary moments ever. But when artists are tied into real street life, real gang history, real criminal activity, that beef can cross the line and turn deadly real fast. The line between entertainment and actual violence gets blurred, and what starts as music can suddenly turn into a murder scene. Dolph's murder didn't just take an artist, it took a father away from his kids. It broke up families on both sides. Big Juke's murder made his family suffer too. The shooters and organizers, they're doing time that'll keep them locked down until they're old men, if they even survive that long. For what? For pride? For respect? For a spot in Memphis's rap scene? For loyalty to a label or a neighborhood? The price paid is massive, and whatever benefit someone thought they were protecting is tiny in comparison. And here's the hardest truth. We might never know exactly who is responsible for Dolph's murder. We may never know who gave the final order, who funded what, who approved what, who knew what was happening behind the scenes. The deaths, the lies, the missing pieces, they all created a fog no one has been able to clear. But here's what we know for sure. Dolph's murder was a tragic loss of life, a loss of talent, a loss of hope for the people he inspired. He was more than a rapper, he was a boss, a businessman, a community figure, a man who built everything himself without selling out. His death hurt Memphis. It hurt hip-hop. It hurt his kids most of all,